why I finally realised that my mum only ever sewed my name into my Calvin Klein boxers and not my As the George boxers because the stains, yeah, I think it was, to be honest, we went through them too quickly when I was growing up. But I can only wear Calvins now on a special occasion. It's life, isn't it? Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Sit Down for Stand Up. I have with me today Scott Hadley. How's it going, Scott, brother? You good?
I'm good. I'm very well. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me.
No, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Well, there was a certain clip I saw of you, and I'm not gonna say fell in love with you straight away over the clip because that might be a bit of a misdirection. I just wanted to talk to you. I thought it was absolutely brilliant what you've done, and yeah, it absolutely piqued my interest. So I'll get into that into a minute. I'll always start off sort of the same way. How and why did we get into comedy?
Um, Comedy's always been something that I've enjoyed watching as an audience member. Something I'd always sort of wanted to have a go at myself, and then I'd always sort of like put it off and put it off, and I'll do it next year. I'll do it at a later point. And then yeah, about 2 years ago at this point, my wife got pregnant, and I was like, well, if I don't start before the baby's born, I'm never going to do it. You know, there's going to be even more excuses to put that off and put that off.
Mm.
So I started then, been going at about 15 months at this point, and I'm enjoying it a lot, having a lot of fun. I think I'd always allowed myself to imagine that it'd be um like super competitive or super aggy, but it's not like that at all. Like it's a very warm, very supportive environment, at least at entry level. Maybe once you're two steps up, there's a
Uh,
lot more kicking on the rungs.
I would say warm and friendly 100%. I always say the weird stat 92% of other comedians are lovely. But you
Yeah.
do get the odd arsehole who comes out of it. But competitive wise, I'd say it's one of the most saturated fields going.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
exactly. I mean, I think there's it doesn't serve you well, right? If you're too competitive with it, because there's so many other people. If you're going in trying to be better, well, I mean, there's one thing to be ambitious, right? But it's another thing to push other people down.
oh
I
yeah, you
think
can't be a shark.
exactly,
All
exactly,
right.
exactly.
So doing it started 15 months ago. How did sort of your first gig go?
Um, First gig went okay. I started off. I did one of the courses. I did the course at the Bill Murray
Okay,
in,
yeah, Angel Comedy Store, yeah. Is it Angel?
exactly.
Yeah.
Which I found super useful just as a way to like the way that course runs. I don't know if other people have spoken about it on here before, but it's basically like a workshop. It was a 5 week one I did. Sort of the first week you write a minute of material, the
Yeah.
second week two, and you build it up, and everyone does their material in the group. You all circle around, and by the end, in theory, everyone's got a lovely little bit of 5 minutes to perform. So that was a great way to go in. So I'd already sort of had initial feedback from strangers before I sort of took it in front of a real audience, as it were, which is nice, which is sort of takes the pressure off. But then by that point, I'd spent like 5 weeks going over and over and over and over those 5 minutes. So I was pretty bored of them. So immediately after that, I ditched those 5 minutes and started again from scratch, which I think made it all a little bit harder again, which was nice. I like the challenge of building it up.
Okay, so would you say you get sort of bored quite quickly of your own jokes? Because when you're hearing them to yourself and over, you're reading the same, two
Yeah.
bits of paper over and over again. It does get, you want to start challenging yourself again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. There are some of them that I think, oh, that's one of the fun. That's one of my favorite jokes in the world.
Mm.
And so then the stuff like that doesn't age, but other stuff exactly is you see you. I mean, I think maybe not everyone, but I think it's easy to see the cracks and the weaknesses in your own material once you've gone through it over and over again. And I think wanting to add new stuff in, right, is the way to keep yourself interested. Certainly for me as well. Like if I once I've done something five or six times and it's worked, then I'm done with it.
Mm.
I suppose I want to move on, try something else.
Yeah, and then it sort of gets added to the arsenal. And then
Exactly.
eventually, like, are we still doing fives? We moved up to tens. Done any page yet?
I'm mainly sort of sevens and tens at this
Nice,
point. I've had a couple of sort of open spots on semi-pro things,
nice.
so yeah, hopefully starting to I mean, I'm still losing money at this point, but
Everyone is. Until, you
exactly.
know what I mean, your proper closing headline in 40 minute, 30, 25 minute spots, everyone still is. Like, just, yeah, everyone is. So, how sort of your process of, writing a joke? Do you sort of like write it all out, or do you just do, like premise, punchline?
I think I've tried a few different methods as I've gone through, but what I found has worked the best is when I've got a baby, I've got a dog. I spend a lot of time walking round and round,
Mm.
like the park. Yeah, I live near Crystal Palace Park, which is a
Oh,
beautiful
yeah.
big park. So I spend a lot of time in there, and I'll talk to myself as I go around, and that's sort of how I practice those, how I rehearse those and sort of find things. But I mean, but other times I've thought of something, oh, I want to write a joke about that, or I want to write a joke about this.
Mm.
And then I'll try and start with the premise. But sometimes it's just, yeah, if I'm monologuing to myself for 20 minutes in the park, does anything come out of that? And sometimes something does. But yeah,
Well,
voice notes and stuff like that is
Well, I
what I
think I like to, when there's like someone who's like mining for gold, how many times the mine hits the soil? Like, is it hitting gold? Like zero
yeah.
point zero 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 0.0001% of the time. Like most of the stuff that we think of is pure and utter shit. But every now and then you do find that nugget. So now you said you had a dog and a kid. What sort of stuff do you write about? What type of comedian are you?
So I'm sort of usually described as an alternative comedian by
Okay.
other people. That's something that other people described me as before I started using it myself, which I think basically means bit kooky, bit weird. So I do some little bit of sort of observational comedy about having a child, being a millennial, not having any hair, stuff like that. But I also do like costumes. I've done songs a few times. I used to before I started doing comedy, I did a lot of like writing poetry.
Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
I've got a few humorous poems that I do sometimes. Like weird costumes, and stuff like that. So yes, I try and I try to keep myself interested. Like I want to try a lot of things. I haven't found what I think is perfect yet, but
Is the
I'm
niche. So with a costume, how do you sort of decide what you're going to wear?
um I mean, I've often been led by what I find. Like I spend maybe too much time in charity
I
shops.
was just about to say, "Are you a charity shopper?" Was
I am
just about
indeed.
to say they're gold mines. They are absolute gold mines. You gotta love them, to be honest.
Exactly. I'm trying to I haven't successfully got it to I'm trying to learn. I've got a couple of pairs of those like tearaway stripper trousers that I
Brilliant.
bought from the internet. And I'm trying to learn how to make shirts that can do that with because you can't really buy them very easily
Mm.
uh the for the top part. But I like the idea of being able to do like four or five
Well,
unexpected changes in a
we used to have them in the 90s, didn't we? There were the jogger bottoms.
oh yeah
Thanks, they
like a
had like the
trousers
buttons
down
going
the
all the way
side.
up and
Yeah,
down. Like, I mean, it more looks like you're like gay cowboy chav, to be honest. So, I mean, the bit I wanted to talk about and the bit I love, um, you know, fantastic. You've done costumes. What about the time you never wore a costume?
That is true. So I did a like a 45 minute
Fuck off! 40. I thought it was a 5 minute.
no, it was 45 minutes of full nude reading poetry.
A
Um
full nude 45 minutes.
yeah, which was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. So as I mentioned, I've written a lot of poems. One of the during the just before the pandemic, a friend and I collaborated on a book length collection of poetry about flat Earth conspiracy theories that
Okay.
was accompanied by fully nude photography of me as a sort of the idea was we're exposing the truth and me with the book, and so I did a live version of that. Um,
Okay. And I mean, why? And like, I mean, people say it's ballsy to do comedy in the first place, which I don't believe. But I will say it is ballsy to go on stage doing poetry and comedy but arse naked. Was you
uh,
completely naked?
I mean, I kept my shoes and socks on. It's
Classy. Yeah.
don't want to go too far. Um, but I mean, for me, it made perfect sense. Like a
How?
lot of people I spoke to afterwards were like, "That what a crazy thing to do." But
Yeah.
that's I think once you're standing on stage and putting yourself out there, there's not for me there's not a huge difference between doing that naked and doing that clothed. You know, you're standing there and saying, "Look at me, I think I've got something entertaining for 45 minutes." You're exposing yourself to ridicule already. You know, you may as well let them ridicule the shape of your penis and balls, you
Yeah,
know.
but do you give it like a fluff before?
No, no, I didn't, and I was right next to a fan, so it got smaller as we went on.
Oh,
And the key thing is though, is if you're erect, it becomes pornographic, and thus it's a different type of show. So it's very important if you're doing nude performance that you're
I mean,
relaxed.
I'd be so subconscious with it. It was getting colder. I'd try to like, like buffer it up a little bit.
I mean that I got that. Like I had one poem that explicitly talked about my penis, and the way it looked in the room at the time was very different to the way that I'd written about it, and I was very self-conscious at that moment. But like as soon as the show ended, I immediately had to cover myself. Like as everyone was leaving the room, I was like, oh God,
Mm.
it suddenly like clicked into being aware of my nudity in a room full of fully clothed people. I mean, not many fully clothed. It wasn't a super popular show, but
Still,
uh, yeah.
it's not the one you invite your family and friends to, though, is it? Or
No, not yet, not yet. Maybe the next time. Maybe the next time.
I mean, to me, that's just absolutely like I just think it's brilliant. I just think it's just going that one step further. Pushing the creative boundaries. And I know, Joey, like nudity's the most like natural thing in the world, but
Well, exactly. I mean, I think too often people just think of nudity as a sexy thing, but it's everyone's like there's someone naked within 100 meters of you right now. I'm sure.
my dog is naked right now.
Exactly.
He's
And that's not
like,
sexy. I mean, maybe that is for you, but right, we gotta reclaim the nudity as a casual thing, especially with climate change. It's gonna get hotter. We
very,
gotta
very true.
we can't keep wearing all these layers.
I mean, like, did you have to worry about what you were going to wear to the gig that day, or was that like the least worry thing going?
Um, I mean, I had to make sure it was stuff that a lot of these venues there's not really a backstage area, so
Mm.
nothing too precious, nothing nothing no one's gonna grab.
But I mean, yeah. So part of that. Have there been any other sort of like I'm just say crazy moments you've done?
Um, I mean, I think that's probably the so far that's probably the craziest thing I've had. I mean, in everyone else's for me, it made perfect sense. But I mean, I try and do things that I haven't thought of doing before quite regularly. Like I try and push myself in my uh the form I use, I suppose. Maybe that's the wrong word. But yeah, I try and do a thing I haven't done before every month or so.
Okay,
Something.
so what's the next month's
Um,
one
well,
shoe off?
oh, maybe they should get the feet out as
Yeah,
well. That's,
just Crocs.
um, I mean, I want to try and start doing. As I mentioned, as I said, I used to be a poet, and sometimes my writing then was more serious, like a bit darker. I want to try and get a bit more emotionality into the comedy because I
Right.
think it's very
Okay.
silly, kind of playful, is what I'm doing. So maybe we want to try and add a little bit more emotional heft, if that makes sense.
I get it, and one of the ways that I sort of diverse massively is that I understand like comedy, you've got to be as funny as you can be. To
Yeah,
me, I'll give the prime example, Dave Chappelle, who's he's one of the greatest of all time. His comedy nowadays isn't just funny. He'll take you on that roller coaster of a journey,
Mhm.
and he'll talk about serious matters. He'll chuck in a couple of jokes in there, but it's all about how well you can hold court and have
Yeah,
everyone listening on your every word. And when listening to comedians, if they just do punchline after punchline after punchline, yeah, it's fantastic. But I do think we all do lose interest a little bit. They need to be taken on that journey.
yeah. I mean, I think there's got to be texture, right? I think Like if all you ate was soup, right? You gotta have something chunky, something crunchy as
Mm.
well, I think. But I mean, it's also like when you first start doing comedy, everything's just 5 minutes. And in
Yeah.
5 minutes, that's not really enough time to if you do 5 minutes and you spend 2 minutes of that trying to give a lecture on something serious, it's not no one's happy with that kind of
No,
thing.
but yeah, very true. Yeah, you do need sort of time to work with it. So, how did you find sort of the transition from doing poetry into comedy?
I mean, I took quite a big gap. I did do I used to do performance poetry a bit, but
Yeah.
I only did that like once or every month or two for a
Mm.
couple of years, and then I stopped in the pandemic, and then never really didn't pick it back up again. So I had quite a big gap without doing any time in front of an audience. Um, so I think maybe I'd missed it more than I thought I had, if that makes sense. It was nice to be back in that space.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I completely like yeah, and you do get a buzz for being on the stage.
yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly. And I mean, also, I mean, sometimes it's more comfortable. Sometimes I find it's easier to be on the stage and talk to a room full of people than to sort of do the little small talk networking afterwards. That's I find that a bit more stressful, to be honest. Than oh,
I can talk, like I can hold court quite well. I'm fairly good on stage, not the best, fairly good on stage. Don't mind doing it afterwards, but I could still just never go up to a random girl in a bar and start talking to her. Never could, never could. It's almost like where it gets to that point where you'd be ashamed to say you're a comedian because they'd expect you to be funny. And you know, what I mean, I'm only funny sort of on stage and amongst my mates.
is that because where you're comfortable, right?
Yeah,
Or is that
maybe it's comfort zone, or maybe I don't know, like it look like you're trying too hard and it comes across poorly.
Mhm.
I've no idea. So, in the 15 months you've been doing it, what sort of things have you learned along the way?
Um, I mean, I think a really key lesson that I found is from seeing other people not do it and from once I did it is never to stop if it's not going well.
Yeah.
You've got to keep if it's 5 minutes, if it's 10 minutes. I mean, I haven't yet done more than that, but it's like you've got to keep going. Like if the audience isn't into it, you've got to try and win them back round.
Yeah.
I think that was sort of the first time I had a really bad gig, I sort of gave up and left early. And then sort of afterwards, I was like, you can't do that. You gotta, it's like falling off a bicycle and never getting back on it
Yeah.
again. Like
You got
it's that same gig is where you got to persevere. Uh,
100%. And also, not every room is going to work. Like I was telling you, I had that gig cancelled last night, so I went to Val's one in low stakes. Thought, fuck it, let's try some new material. Banged it. They were absolutely loving it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try one of my favourite jokes. And it is one of my favourite jokes. It gets the best response. And I don't know if it's all because they were fairly new to comedy or they didn't quite understand the misdirection, but I lost them all.
oh no.
And I kept going. I was like, fuck me, you guys, I really lost you on that gay joke, didn't I? And then they were like, yeah. And I was like, fucking hell. Like, basically, the gay joke, I've said it so many times on here, it's one of my favourite jokes. I'm against gay marriage. That's where you lose them. And he goes, because when a man and a woman get married, a woman's workload increases by 6 hours, a man's decreases by an hour. That's why gay guys always look fantastic. They've got all the extra time to do the hair, time to go to the gym. It's not fair. In fact, if I sucked enough dick, I might be able to get myself a girlfriend. Great joke. But the second I said the gay marriage bit, I lost them because they all thought it was real. And it was like, no, but so yeah, some things will work in some rooms, some will work, and just some genuinely
Yeah.
won't.
I mean, I think also something I found is like some rooms people they're not willing to like give you the benefit of the doubt kind of
Yeah,
thing. They decided something isn't funny before, like you mentioned, right? That's the first line of a joke, right? The
yeah,
joke is the whole thing. Yeah, and sometimes people decide, oh, they're not listening to the rest.
mm.
Something I've encountered a few times because my act's pretty weird is sometimes I've got the feeling that sometimes people in the audience don't understand if I realize I'm being weird or not. kind of thing.
Oh, they
As
don't know if you're being a character or being delusional.
well, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Or they're not certain if I'm doing it on purpose. Like I'm a functioning member of society. I know what it is to be weird, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not happening by accident. It's all it's pre. I think that's also a thing as well. Is that I think you still do get people in audiences who don't who, and I think sometimes to some extent everyone wants to kind of believe it. Is that people who think everything at a stand-up night is it's just riffing, like everything is new and fresh and in the room. And obviously, if you're mainly doing like new material nights, it's very obvious when that is and when it isn't. But I think even at once you start being in rooms with audiences that aren't people that are in those kind of spaces, there is sometimes an expectation that they are seeing a joke the only time it's ever told. Whereas every comedian, like unless all they do is improv,
Yeah.
if anything's a great joke, they've either told it 20, 100 times before, or they're gonna tell it 100 times more, and you happen to have seen the first time.
100%. And it looks like, like if someone's like stuttering or, well, when you get to like a higher level, it's all calculated stutters. Like the ums, the buts, like, the 3 second pauses. It's all been done over 100 times. Like you've learned when to pause, when to stutter, and to come across like a bumbling person. So, but yeah, I do enjoy sort of new act nights as well because it is good just to go up there and just try stuff. And when it doesn't work, just acknowledge it. That usually gets the best bloody reaction in an open mic, doesn't it? When you go, well, that was shit, wasn't it? And then they're like, yeah, it was. Like, wait, like he's not a complete moron. To
Exactly.
be
But I mean,
honest.
that's also part of people feeling like they're in the room, right? And I think that's, if someone, I think also with that kind of new act, sometimes you get people who will basically be reading
Yeah.
rather than performing. And even if it is, even if you're looking at notes or if it's something that's new, if it is something that's been rehearsed 1,000 times, it's people want the audiences want to feel like it's not.
Yeah.
It's about finding that, from my experience at least, it's about trying to appear um, like some kind of spontaneity, even when it's not.
I,
It's
I, I 100% agree with you. And I was against this. I was for this, and now I'm fully against it. Even on open mic new material, I don't think you should ever have a book or phone on stage. I think it ruins the magic. It ruins the fuck ups. If you tried a new joke, try it and fuck it up on stage. I think it's better than going to the notes personally because, like I said, the ones that yesterday, like half of them had like reading from notepads, the other had like jokes written on their arms and stuff. But it ruins that magic bit, and also it stops the comedian learning sort of like crowd work skills.
Yeah.
How like shit, you don't know what you're going to say next. So I'll tell you what, I am going to talk about something random until I remember what I am actually going to say next.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's also the that not letting there be dead air, basically, right? If you forget the joke, like
Yeah,
even if you've got a one, like people who have like one word prompt on the back of their hand, kind of thing. It's if you've forgotten it, one word probably isn't going to help,
yeah.
right? But you can't. Yeah, it's being able to segue into something else or to talk like you mentioned. So if the joke doesn't work, you say the joke didn't work. If you've forgotten the next joke, you say you've forgotten the next joke, and that becomes a joke in itself, and that also that's exposing a little bit of vulnerability. And
Yeah,
unless the other 20, and unless the rest of the set is I'm so slick, I'm so brilliant, I'm better than
yeah.
kind of material, then it doesn't work. But yeah, if there's a if it's a more complex kind of or more gentle character than that, admitting to those the little mistakes, I think people like that. So
100.
people love like in a sketch show, nothing gets a bigger laugh, right, than when people are corpsing, when they're laughing, when the sketch breaks down because one of them
Bloopers are the best things
exactly.
coming
People
out of it.
love it. People
Yeah,
love it.
but I said my mate Peter. When I watched him the other day, I had him on. He was doing a bit. He was doing a 15, and one of his jokes, he goes like, I can't remember, da 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 da. I'm just gonna make this bit up. Da, 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 and then the fridge was open, and then fuck, that was the punchline. Okay, everyone, okay. I just fucked that joke up. That was the punchline. So I'm gonna redo it. And when you hear the word fridge, that's when you're meant to laugh. Did it again. And he goes, and then the fridge. Ominous applause rounds because he fucked up, but he owned it,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and then was able to like bring it round and use his fuck up, and that was the best applaud he got of the night because then everyone sort of felt, involved and
Exactly.
everything.
I think that's the key thing about that's the difference between a comedy show and a monologue play, right? It's even if it does end up being basically the same thing every night of a 200 night tour,
Yeah,
it's just the moments when it's pretending to be outside of that, the yeah, that's what people remember, and that's
yeah.
the thing that people often talk about.
Yeah, 100 agree with you. Oh, I'm going to mention this one, and I'm not going to say anything first. We are from South London. You are, not me. So I'm going to mention the worst word in the world beginning with a B.
Oh, I don't.
Bringers.
Oh, yeah.
What's your view on them?
Um, I mean, I'm not yet at the point where I'm totally out of doing the open mic scene. So I'd say it's for me it seems more like a necessary evil. But I mean, I can see there's a lot of arguments about this in like the comedy groups online.
Mhm.
Um, but I
I'm the
think
one who starts half of them as anonymous P member. I am the biggest activist against them. The rest of the country is laughing at London.
yeah.
Like
No.
I know comedians jump all up north, Scotland, Welsh. I speak to them all on the pod. Everyone laughs at the thought of a bringer night.
I know it adds a complexity as well to the admin of doing this kind of comedy. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, I've seen the arguments, so I've seen the arguments for them. I don't think I necessarily agree with them. Like if I was running a night, I wouldn't want it to be a bringer night. It feels
And
yeah.
it's not needed. I've said this time and time again. Look at what Val is doing at low stakes.
Mhm.
It's not a bringer. Last night there was probably about 30 people in the room.
Yeah.
It's not a bringer. He just fucking works at it. He works at it. He promotes well, and he's friendly, and he has good compares. I mean, I'm gonna MC it in the next couple of weeks, so yeah, I know he gets good fucking compares. He works hard. He doesn't need to have. It doesn't need to be a bringer. It is promoters' fucking laziness
Mhm.
that brings him on. He does it on a Wednesday night. No one can be fucked for comedy on a Wednesday night. He does it, and he's smashing it. Like full props to him. So I don't think they're needed. I hate them, and yeah, I'm against them, and I just think it's promoters being lazy. That
Yeah,
is
I mean,
my.
I'm South London, so I mean, I go to Brighton usually at least once or twice a month, just because
Oh yeah, calm.
it's easier.
Where are we done in Brighton?
So I've done pretty much all the little open nights.
You done Ed's? You done Onions?
Yeah, I've done those. Well, I've done did the branding needs work last week.
Yep.
Secret Comedy Club. Um,
Media.
I haven't done Comedia yet.
Calm. Magic Monday in it. What's fucking Leslie's one? Simon's one, the character one.
Oh, I haven't done the character one.
No, do you know what it is?
Simon's one is the branding needs work. That's the is that the one? Does he have? Is there another Simon? That one's definitely run by a Simon.
Let me. I'm literally looking up now while we go on here. What's this for? No, that's not him. Come on, mate. You're in a fucking dress. Extra topping
Extra topping. No, I haven't done that. Is
in
that
Brighton. His character. I'm not. I'm gonna episode. If you watch episode 53 of this, he's the one who runs it, and it's
okay?
character
Great.
comedy. Yeah, and like, yeah, I'll message him after if you want.
Oh, yeah, that'll be nice.
I'll
Thank you.
send him a good word because yeah, to be honest. So yeah, we not done that. Have we done any competitions at all?
I've done. I did the West End New Act of the Year. Early
Okay,
this
cool.
year. Got to the semi-finals of that, which was very
Well done.
exciting.
Yep.
Um, I haven't really done many others. One of maybe like the third or fourth gig I did was a gong show, and that
Oh,
was
that's early.
way too early. It was way too early. Put myself off them for a while.
How
Uh,
how did it go?
um, I mean, not great. I mean, not it wasn't the worst gig I've ever had, but I just at that point, like I didn't have the like at this point, if a gig's not going well, I switch the material. Like
Yeah.
I've got enough in the bank to they don't like a joke about this, I'll do a joke about
Good
that
job. Yeah.
thing. Whereas at that
Did you do it
point,
as an alternative comedian?
It was more kind of that I hadn't really started adding that kind of weirdness
Okay.
in. Yeah, so it was a bit more just doing kind of observational stuff. But
Okay. Well,
yeah,
gong shows have
I just went quicker and quicker rather than pivoting, which yeah.
gong shows have no metric basis of how good a comedian is. I always stress that. I fucking love them. I think it's the gladiatorial arena, but anything can happen on the night. And do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many factors that play. Like, if you go second and the first person was shit, so the compare, tells the audience off. Do you know what I mean? One joke they don't like, boom, boom, boom. If two go up, peer pressure. Third one goes up. It's no metric of a comedian's capability. Usually, you've got to be good at crowd, like absolute king at crowd work to get through. Like, there's no metric basis on someone's comedic ability. Gong shows.
Mhm.
So yeah, like never let them put you down or anything. To be
So I'll
honest,
try another one. I'll try another one soon, I think.
do 100% do another one. So yeah, do another one because I mean you now know what's the worst thing that can happen.
Well,
Like,
exactly. Yeah. No, it's just you have to stop doing the comedy. That's it, right? That's
yeah, 100%. Like I've got one tonight, and yeah, there's a laugh, but yeah, you can never take it sort of personally. So you've done it for 15 months now. What's a joke you ripped back down there 15 months ago, and you look back now and you think, why the hell did I think that was funny?
um, it's a good question. I mean, I kind of I try I aim to not write things down. I try to keep it all in the brain. And so I've made some notes of some stuff, but I only write it down when I'm really tied to it. So anything that was bad, it's just gone. I forgot. It's
Gone
never happened. So
to
I've
your
only
safe
got stuff
space.
that I think is good. That doesn't mean it is all good, but I've only got stuff that I think is good at this point.
Yep, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I've never answered that one myself actually on this pod, and yeah, this is episode 84. So the fact I've never answered this. Um, what's my worst one I've ever done? My holiday bit. Um, I did about 10 minutes about being on holiday, and it was about doing karaoke to a room where only a third of them spoke English. But I was coming across really aggressive and annoyed that they didn't speak English. And I actually think I've actually turned it to an all right bit of material now, but I've cut out about 8 minutes of it. So it's now like only a 2 minute set. Whereas like everything else, like, no, that was shit. No, that was shit. No, that was shit. Because I remember writing it, like everything was like, have you ever had one of them like flights from hell?
Yeah, not for a little while, but
Like
yeah.
this was flight. So plane was an hour delayed, no problem. And then we was on the tarmac for about an hour because they
Karaoke
got
on the plane for you. That was
on the
the
way back.
karaoke wasn't on.
And I was like, and then like, we had to wait on the plane, like, off the plane for about an hour because the staff got onto the wrong plane, so we had to wait for that over. Then we had to wait another half hour because this guy was so big, he had to get the vehicle thing to like lift him up to the door. Then there was the other side, then the stairs on the other side, and then behind me there was like this Essex fish faced, Miss Piggy 50 stone bitch, and was just yelling at everything. And it's like I hate I hate my life, and like and there was about 24 of them because they'd just done a holiday or something, and like the 3-year-old kids were like punching each other in the face, calling each other the c words, and it was like if this plane crashed, I would accept that. That'd be me being a fucking martyr for the human race. And I just did it all on stage, like literally just like that. But it was more just like a rant at how much I hate people. It just it came off so fucking bad. I like so. What's the worst thing you've ever seen someone do on stage?
The worst thing I've ever seen someone do. Um, I've seen it more than once, but not many more times than that. But when people get genuinely annoyed when one of their jokes hasn't worked, like I've seen that 2 or 3 times, and it's always um I won't tell you which demographic it is, but it's always the same. It's always the same kind of person that does it.
Is it
Um,
like the white Essex lads?
all right, let's leave it in the air. but like they'll
No,
tell a joke. It doesn't work.
I'll speak freely on that. Yeah, why? No, one of my mates runs a gig in Essex, Ginger Giggle Club, and he fucking kills it. Great alternative. Bills has a lot of Essex lads, and Joey, they are fucking great. But it's the same fucking jokes over and over and over and over again. They're gonna chuck a nonce joke in there somewhere. They're gonna chuck a grape joke in there somewhere. Their ex is a bitch somehow. Do you know what I mean? Cheap, fucking easy misdirection jokes that they've watered down and joke theft off someone else. They do it and they don't like it, then they think the audience don't like it. Now, don't get me wrong, London is fucking woke and it's not the best place for comedy to truly flow. But then if you decide to go into a room to do that, you've got to know your audience. And then that becomes your skill to try material that will work.
Well, I mean,
Run over.
I think most rooms, if it's well enough performed and well enough written, you can joke about pretty much anything. I mean,
I
and I
said,
think
can you joke about anything this day and age?
I think it depends how you do it. And
Agree.
I think often that people feel like that they can't say things because they're not saying it well. And I think the limits of what people will laugh at are actually pretty loose. But I think it's when an audience don't trust a comedian, I think is when that happens.
Yeah. And I think you've got to be aware of the persona you give off on stage.
I mean, I think exactly. I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to state to if it is the perspective punching up or punching down.
Yeah.
I think is often what it comes down to. And I think that's also a thing that I think a lot of new comedians aren't sure about is where their status is in the room, and that's something it takes quite. You've got to pay attention to that. Like I mean, I think of myself as quite a low status person, but it's not true. I've just got quite low self-esteem. But I mean, I'm not like I'm reasonably confident. I often dress in quite garish ways. I'm not perceived as someone that's shy and retiring. So I've got like on stage I've got to lean into that, because it's sort of and I think sort of that learning how people perceive you is a key part of that, and what you're able to joke about. So I think if you come across as like a Tory politician who's doing a political rant, people aren't going to like that. Whereas 100%. I think I think if you come across as I mean, especially sort of at this kind of level, you can get stuff that would be considered quite offensive that works very, very well when it's performed in such a way that it's not like if the joke isn't, oh, I've mentioned a minority kind of thing. If there's more to it than that, right? I think, I don't know. I think it's easy to say there are limits to what people will accept as a joke, but I think most audiences can be worked around to laughing at anything, and sometimes they might laugh with a, oh my God, what an outrageous thing to say. But I think a lot of people don't go to comedy gigs looking to be offended. And I think the times when that kind of stuff happens is when stuff ends up online with people that weren't in the room at the time. But at the same time, there are people have different politics, people have different opinions. At the end of the day, some people want to go and watch comedy that has a political agenda to it, and some people want that agenda to be one agenda, some people want it to be another. And I think it's when things end up outside of that audience that it causes a problem. If that makes sense, right?
No, 100%. It's like I've I've got I've got a Sharia law joke. It's fucking brilliant, but once again, it's not about Sharia law. But I say, so if I did like an illegal immigrant joke, if I went and banged that out in a social club or a working man's club, I know I'm going to kill it. But if I went to a refugee charity and did it, it's going to fall on its ass.
Exactly. It's about context, right?
Yeah, learning to read the room. And one thing you did mention earlier that I want to comment on, which I really agree with, it's almost like you've got to earn your stripes before you try and do shock comedy.
Mhm.
They've always got to know you. Or even like you can do it at like near the end of your set, but you've got to gain their trust by then. You can't do it from the cuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I
Um,
think like I think it's different for like the celebrity acts that have a reputation where sort of when people are going to see that particular
yeah, because they know what
act.
to expect.
Exactly. But I think um sort of levels below that, which is most comedy, realistically, you've got to presume the audience is there to be won around.
Yeah.
And
Well,
by being divisive, you might your first line might make five people love you. It might make five people hate you. But which you don't want to do, right? You don't want to polarize the room as soon as you enter the stage. I mean, maybe
it's hard to win them back. You
exactly.
can't because it's always like okay. I know I'm not going to mention politics, but I'm going to give it in the form of politics. Some people, no matter what, they're always going to be right. Some people, no matter what, are always going to be left. No matter what the right says, the left aren't going to agree. No matter what the left says, the right aren't going to agree. There's a very few amount in the middle. And with
Mhm.
comedy, if you piss off them ones over there, there's only a few amount you're going to be able to win back. And then the
Yeah.
rest of them, same exactly with the right. If you make a joke, you're instantly going to piss off a lot of them over there, and only a fair few of them you're going to be able to win back in your comedy.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, why I was thinking, why risk it? To be honest,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the way to look at it. I think is, but I mean, with some people, they only want to have an audience in order to speak their opinions about a more serious topic. Which, sure, you can do that, but I think is comedy the right place to do that? Maybe sometimes it is, but is 5 minutes at an open mic night the right place for you to try and lay out your opinions on how the world should be run? Maybe not.
yeah, because even if it's new material, like I said, like people taking their books on stage, even if it's new material, it's low stakes. Everyone is still judging you, and
Yeah.
everyone will still remember like if you was a complete prick or
Oh,
if you did a good
sorry,
joke.
my dog's just barking.
That's what I do, don't I? What dog you got?
Got a little fluffy terrier.
Hey,
Um, sorry.
that's all right.
Sorry, I think you've been asleep for the last 40 minutes.
That's fine, dude. So, still saying Kane joke about everything. What's the okay for your personal experience then? What's the worst moment you've ever had on stage personally, and what's been your favourite?
Worst moment. I mean, the worst gig I had very recently actually is I was booked to be on a show of Canadian comedy because
Oh,
my wife is Canadian, my
okay.
baby is legally Canadian, and I've got Canadian permanent residency, so
Yeah,
I'm as close to being Canadian as you can be
yeah,
without being Canadian. And the promoter said that was Canadian enough.
yeah.
For the room, oh, it was not. It was not Canadian enough. Um, uh, just from the off, it was very clear that I was unwelcome with my English accent. I was unwelcome, and I think if that had happened a year ago, I probably would have run away.
yeah,
Yes, I just went through. I'm like, I've got enough material in the bank to try and hopefully find something that most of them will like, and I
okay.
got something out of most people in the room by the end, but it was a struggle. But
Yeah,
it was also it was good to again earlier on 6 months ago that probably would have made me I'd have left that room and thought, do I need to stop doing this? Am I
yeah.
embarrassing myself?
But yeah, ours it never stopped. But yeah,
Exactly. I mean, and that's sort of the so I suppose that was both in a way that it was a really unpleasant experience to feel suddenly very unwelcome, but to be able to ride that and not feel like I should give up either in that moment or longer term was maybe quite a positive experience as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you need them times to bomb to get better. Like you need
exactly.
that rehumbling. And so, what's been your favourite moment then?
I think that would have to be my naked poetry. That was like dream come true kind of thing. That's the kind of show I always wanted to do.
And
Um,
when you did the reel on Instagram, did you put that up yourself?
yes, yeah.
So you chose what fruit to cover yourself with.
Exactly,
So you was
exactly.
very generous to yourself.
I mean, maybe I wasn't generous enough. I don't know.
Enlarged it all the way tonight.
Fine, I'm married. I'm not looking to impress at the moment.
Brilliant. And I've got, I'll end it with this one, Scott. Do it 15 months. If there's anyone out there watching this thinking about, oh, I'd like to try comedy, but I'm not too sure. What advice would you give them?
I think just do it.
You
Just
can't
jump
say
in.
just do it, so I've got to say that. This isn't a
Gobble.
Nike advert. You can't say just do it. Everyone tries to say that.
I mean, I think I mean, think about what it is you want to do. Why do you want to do comedy? Do you have a thing you want to joke about? Is there something unique about you or your life or your experience? Do you, are you great at telling stories? Are you funny in the pub? Do people think are you funny online? What do you think is funny about yourself? I suppose is the thing to think about. Um, and go from there. Why do you want to do comedy? Think about that for 5 minutes, and that's probably your set. Answering that question is probably
Yeah.
that initial 5 minutes.
Yeah, just start with the five and go from there. And as I said, and also, if you do bomb and all that, no one cares. No one will remember.
I mean, there's so many people trying comedy that
Yeah.
exactly. I think that's part of it too. It's just you're not going to end up selling out arenas after your fourth gig kind of thing. It's a form of exercise as well, right? Every time you do it,
I tell you, was you shocked at that? I was when I first started out. Do you know what I mean? I'd watched all the pros and all that on Netflix, all that crap. I was like, oh, I'll smash this. I'll be able to get it quite easily. There's the level of caliber on the open circuit is fucking. It's ridiculous.
which
Everyone's
is
good.
great though. It's great. Like every week I'm seeing incredible comedy performances. And
Yeah,
but I mean, obviously, I've been doing it 15 months. There are already people who I've seen the entirety of their comedy career, and there are people who probably could have been great but gave up because the progress doesn't come immediately.
yeah,
There are people who've been working at it for years, slowly, bit by bit, getting better and better. And you see all sorts of people from, all sorts of walks of life, all sorts of life experiences, different ages, different backgrounds. And everyone is coming together to try and make other people laugh. It's a pretty pure kind of thing,
yeah,
which is a great thing about it too.
yeah. Everyone wants everyone to do well. We all want everyone to do better. Like and just yeah, and also the friends you make along the way also is fantastic. Right, Scott, that's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you ever so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
And thanks very much for watching, guys. Cheers.